Wisdom of Solomon chapter 15 verse 3. For to know thee is perfect righteousness, yea, to know thy power is the root of immortality. HALALYAM YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM QADASH MASHAYACH LAHASHALACH YAYAM WAZAQUANYAM Shalgrave Millstone that rule well and teach well. Shalom WABARAKYAM ALHABACHAYAR. I don't want Ratazal, we're part of that number. This is your brother and fellow servant Ariah from the G Master Orlando camp. And I want to make a lesson going into the 40 years of peace under King Solomon. All right. It's beautiful to meditate on that. And it also proves that, the law, the commandments of the Lord are not grievous. If you think about it, right? We lived under the reign of King Solomon, which was YAHAWASHI and the regeneration, which is also significant in itself, which is why we had those 40 years of peace. I mean, it's no coincidence that was him, if you can receive it, right? But it shows you that the commandments are not grievous because it's not as though we were perfect, right? We were still in the flesh. But because justice and judgment was upheld, the king ordered his rulership by a standard, the standard of the Heavenly Father, right? The law, statutes, and commandments, righteousness, holiness. And so all those under him, from the governing body to the common folk, also was held to the standard of the truth, of righteousness. So it's not like no one ever made mistakes. It's not like no one ever sinned during those 40 years, but righteousness was upheld, and therefore we were living in peace. We were at one with our power. Read Judith the 5th chapter. I'm not going to go to it. I don't want to, get ahead of myself or jump around too much because it's a lot of reading with the AI overview and the chat GPT, but fuck it. You know what? I don't even know why I even said that. Let's go to it. Judith the 5th chapter. Because it shows you that even the heathen understood our nation, and they had some sort of understanding of our power, where our power lies. And it was this dude, Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, that said this, right? Judith 5, and I'll start at 5 and I'll jump down. Then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people which dwelleth near thee, and inhabit the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. Now, jumping down to, because he's talking about us, he's talking about the Israelites. Jumping down to verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. So they understood that. He understood, hey, when they are at one with their power, nobody can fuck with them. But if they sin, we can take them over. We can destroy them and lead them into captivity, as has happened to them before when they transgress, when they're at odds with their Heavenly Father. So that shows you exactly how we know for a fact that it was 40 years of peace under King Solomon. And then there's also, history, archaeology that also backs it up. But the scriptures is enough. The scriptures is enough. Let's go. Well, you know what? Okay, I'll hold that. And then let's go to the AI, right? Well, First Kings 11 and 42. And the time that King Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Yasharallah was 40 years. Okay? Now to the AI overview, I asked, how do we know that the 40 years under King Solomon was peaceful? It said the idea that King Solomon ruled for 40 years of peace comes from a combination of biblical statements and historical inference. Here's how we know or understand this claim and also what the limits are. Now, ChatGPT be on some bullshit. Sometimes you gotta watch out, chew the meat, spit out the bones, and do not let it sow doubt. Because that's what certain language that it uses, certain words it uses, does, is trying to sow doubt, a gray area or uncertainty in, the scriptures. But we do know, and it is a fact. All right. So number one, the primary source, the Hebrew Bible. The main source stating King Solomon ruled peacefully for 40 years is the Bible itself. Let's go to it. 1 Kings 4:24. For he had dominion over all the region on this side the river, from Tifsah even to Azah, over all the kings on this side the river, and he had over all the kings on this side the river, and he had peace on all sides round about him. And YAHAWADAH and Yasharallah dwelt safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. All the days of Solomon. That's period. That's a fact. That's full stop. That's plain. So he was not at war. He had dominion over the kings, over the whole region, and our people dwelt safely. All the tribes, all the days of Solomon. Okay? And then we just read that. Much of it? No, all of it. See? They're talking about, so biblically, his reign is 40 years, and much of it is described as peaceful and prosperous. Nigga, all of it is described as peaceful and prosperous. We know that he went off in his old age, right? Because he was an older man in the flesh. Your faculties fail you. But at the end of the day, he reigned in peace all the days of his rulership. That's a whole separate topic. Him going off, right? But he reigned. Let's grab it, right? Let's grab this. Thou hast asked. 1 Kings 3 and 10, or 7. 1 Kings 3 will start at 7. And now, O Yahweh power, Adawan Yahweh my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of King David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And the speech pleased the Lord, that King Solomon had asked this thing. And the Most High said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. Aside from, of course, YAHAWASHI, and that's why he said that, because that was him. But YAHAWASHI was like, hey, and lo, a greater than Solomon is here. Verse 13, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. They're talking about the richest king was like Mansa Musa or some shit. No, the greatest kingdom, the greatest dominion, rulership, most wealth, commonwealth, everything was King Solomon, period. No one comes close. All right. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. All right. And that's pretty much the point. Yeah. There was two scriptures I wanted to grab, so I can bear with me. So Ecclesiastes, just to make this point, right? Ecclesiastes 5 and 9. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. Right? The profit of the earth is for everyone. Everyone profits from the natural resources, the order of, the good things of the earth. Nature, the principal things for use of man's life. Okay, like the scriptures say in the Apocrypha. Let's grab that. It's in Sirach 39 and 26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. That's the problem. This fucking devil and his rulership is destroying the earth. That's why the earth will never yield its full strength to this goddamn devil, because he's a filthy ass, unworthy, unruly, trash ass, bitch ass, so-called king. Alright? It says the king himself is served by the field. So why would your dumb ass poison everything? Poison the crops, pesticides, GMO, do all this and that. And then you want to try to hoard all the shit to himself. But he's destroying his own people, right? Because dealing with the people, right? What does it say? Honor, people, king. Proverbs 14:28. In the multitude of people is the king's honor, but he's destroying the people. So how can there be honor unto the king if he's not ordering the people aright? If he's not righteously ruling over them, you don't have a righteous dominion over the people. He's abusing the people. He's defrauding the people. All right, he's killing the people. But in the want of people is the destruction of the prince. All right, what kind of ruler has no people to rule over? What kind of ruler just wants to rule over test tube, cyborg, metaverse people? Like, what kind of rulership is that? What kind of king glories in the death of his people? In the lack of, HR, human resources. This devil's backwards, man. But King Solomon was ruling according to what is saying in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6. And we're going to get that. We'll just get it now. Hear therefore, starting at the top. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand. Learn ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Give ear, you that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest. Right, because the Lord giveth dominion unto whomsoever he will. And it's according to prophecy. Showing you that this devil is not fit to rule. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? Because being ministers of his kingdom, you have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of the Most High. What does it say in the book of 2nd Esdras? Right? 2nd Esdras 11 and 41. Speaking about the fourth beast going into the Roman Empire, but it also applies to the American Empire, Babylon the Great Harlot, aka the dominion of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, woman, and child. 2nd Ezra 11 and 41. For the earth hast thou not judged with truth, for thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. He went to all these different nations and just destroyed them, predicated upon a fucking lie. Weapons of mass destruction, war on terrorism, persecution of Christians. This devil just went and destroyed these nations for nothing, just to take their resources, take their weapons, take this and that. Verse 43, therefore, like it said in Wisdom of Solomon 6, we're going to go back. But therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up to the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. The highest also had looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. And therefore appear no more, thou eagle. Right? Is that not his mascot? Is that not how he represents himself? The highest flying bird, set my nest among the stars, like it says in Isaiah 14. Right? Obadiah as well. Nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, that all the earth may be refreshed, and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. Back in Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 1, showing you that the earth is going to be refreshed. It's not going to be destroyed. Alright? It's going to be refreshed once this devil is completely annihilated, his empire is annihilated, and he's put into captivity under the nation of Israel. So Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 5, because being ministers of his kingdom, you have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God, of the Most High. And that applies to us first, of course, which is why we're here, but now it's applicable to these heathen nations, specifically Esau, Edom. So verse 5, horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. Now, jumping down to verse 17, just grab the point. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. Right? Speaking about wisdom. And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption, and incorruption maketh us near unto the Most High. Going into what we read in Wisdom of Solomon 15 and 3. Right? To know him. The oracles of YAHAWAH and YAHAWASHI were given unto us. Wisdom's habitation is in Yerushalayim, is in Yasharallah. Verse 20, therefore the desire of wisdom, as King Solomon, like we read, desired wisdom, bringeth to a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom that ye may reign forevermore. All right, so now we can go back to ChatGPT. It says, internal clues in the biblical narrative. Number 2, several descriptions support the portrayal of peace. And we just read it. It's just a plain fact. It's plain upon tables. Economic prosperity, massive building projects, temple, palace complex, extensive trade with Tyre, Hiram, and other nations, large administrative districts and taxation systems. These projects generally require stable, peaceful conditions. Armies can't build temples during war. Right. Diplomacy instead of war. King Solomon is depicted as forming alliances, engaging heavily in foreign trade, having a navy with Tyrian partnership. All right. Archaeology cannot directly prove peace, but it literally can. What are we talking about? And then I also wanted to mention the Queen of Sheba, right? We know that account of the Queen of Sheba, but I'll grab it real quick. All right, we quote some of that a lot. 1 Kings 10:1. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of King Solomon concerning the name of YAHAWAH and Yahawah, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold and precious stones. And when she was come to King Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And King Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all King Solomon's wisdom in the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of YAHAWAH and Yahawah, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, It was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and mine eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceedeth the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be YAHAWAH and Yahawah thy power, which delighted in thee to set thee on the throne of Yashar'Allah, because YAHAWAH and Yahawah loved Yashar'Allah forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And I believe there was also an account where she mistaken the doorkeeper for the king, or if that's something that brothers just bring out. I don't know exactly where it is, but that's also something noteworthy. So going back, it says, it reveals conditions consistent with peace. You shouldn't want to be a smartass. It does prove the peace clearly. How can it reveal conditions consistent with peace, but it doesn't prove peace? Then what the hell is the point of archaeology? Evidence that supports a peaceful and centralized... Now, I'm not saying that this devil don't lie with, such things as carbon dating and talking about dinosaur fossils and shit. He does lie, but, this is not, this is not the same as that other shit, okay? Large-scale public works, urban expansion in some areas, increases in trade goods from surrounding cultures. While scholars debate exact dating and attribution, these patterns suggest economic growth, state organization, relative regional stability. Such conditions are more consistent with peace than constant warfare, obviously. External records. There are no known contemporary external records from Egypt, Assyria, or Babylon describing King Solomon. This silence is not unusual, right? Because we just read what? In 1 Kings 4, 24 and 25, that he had dominion over them niggas. Alright? Israel and Judah were small kingdoms. Regional superpowers were weak or dormant during the 10th century BCE. The quiet from major foreign powers fits the idea of a time where Yashar'Allah wasn't invaded or pressured, which again lies up with a peaceful period. Modern historians point out we cannot independently verify from outside sources that King Solomon had 40 years of literal peace. Well, that's what the scripture said, so I don't give a shit about what historians point out. The biblical writers may idealize his reign to emphasize theological themes. Wisdom leads to peace. Temple construction marks a divinely blessed era. That is also trying to sow seeds of doubt and try to implement some sort of gray area or blur the lines of truth, because obviously righteousness and wisdom is the ideal. Why wouldn't it be? But it's not a thing where the biblical writers, right, were biased. These are divinely inspired writings. The Lord gave the word, and great was the company that published it. Okay, there's nothing written that wasn't from YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. It's all his words. It was all by his will. So there's nothing biased about it. It's not something that they omitted information or this and that for the sake of painting a narrative. I'm telling you, I hyperanalyze people's words. I hyperanalyze this shit because you're not gonna just say no shit like that, no slick shit, and I'm gonna just let it go. But we know what it is, all right? Loki don't even feel like reading the rest of this shit. But it gives you the summary. If you want to pause it and read it, yeah, there was no war. It was a period of peace, supported by archaeology, not contradicted by external history. So it's like, what are you talking about? So going to the AI overview on Google, and yeah, I looked up the definition of infer, because it went into how historians make historical inference or something like that. So infer means to deduce, to conclude, to draw a conclusion by the process of reasoning, right? So that's fair. But anyway, so I wanted to get a second opinion, right? You go to the AI overview on Google, and I put in just, for some historical verification, right? I looked up Israelite trade and regional expansion during King Solomon's reign. It said King Solomon's reign, 10th century BC, marked a period of significant economic prosperity and regional expansion, characterized by a booming import-export economy. We just read what the Queen of Sheba brought, what she imported and gave to our nation. All right, those were great riches, great wealth, great resources. It was characterized by a booming import-export economy, control of critical trade routes, and strategic international partnerships, particularly with Tyre and Egypt. He expanded his kingdom. If we're at peace, if we have dominion, and we're doing right by not only our nation, but by our neighbors, surrounding nations, and we're trading, King Solomon reigning according to wisdom, righteousness, the laws of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, everyone's on one accord, remembering Yahawah, our power, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. What need would there be for the nations to get stirred up or do anything? Like we just read in Jude the 5th chapter at the beginning. They wouldn't have shit to say. They wouldn't have no significant moves being made. It would be prosperity really all around. That was a taste of the kingdom, how even the heathen nations would benefit from our righteous rulership. Okay? They're trying to say some shit like that means something, like that changes the game. Like, we know what it means. Okay? He expanded his kingdom's influence through the Negev to the Red Sea, enabling maritime trade with Ophir and a monopoly on regional caravan traffic. And hey, the scriptures mention the golden wedge of Ophir or Ophir. Very valuable gold, very valuable precious stones. And he traded with them. Gold named after that place, that country or whatever. Maritime trade. And a monopoly on regional caravan traffic, generating massive revenue from commerce, mining, and tolls. Key aspects of trade and expansion: commercial partnerships. And you can read it if you'd like to. I'm just trying to skim through it because I don't want to make this too long. So commercial partnerships, maritime trade, caravan route control, import-export monopoly, infrastructure and mining, right? Regional expansion and impact, the Negev and Red Sea, caravan cities, economic impact, incredible wealth. All right. And we know, who can know if your sons will be righteous or wicked? That's something that King Solomon lamented. And what ended up happening is the descendants that ascended the throne, the descendants of Solomon that ascended the throne and took over, ultimately there was wicked, which is why we fell and we were split up, and here we are now. But during the 40 years, all the days of Solomon, we was good. We dwelt in safety and prosperity, okay? Like the scripture said. So then it gives you sources. Like, this is where AI gets the information from all these different sources across the web. And these are different, universities, archaeologists, scholars, journalists, going into all types of, it's verified. This is proof. What do you mean it's not proof? So I'm like, ChatGPT on that bullshit, but it's all good. That's why you have to do research. And it's simple. All right, just look it up. Don't just use one source, use multiple, and boom, you got it right there. So we know. And that's the point. That's pretty much the point. Right? The desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. And we was good because we was ordered according to righteousness. All right? We weren't perfect. Obviously, we were still in the flesh. We were still subject to sin. It's not that we never sinned during the 40 years, but justice and judgment was upheld. And so we put away evil from among us immediately. We were held to a standard from the king down to the common folk. And the Lord was with us. So I just wanted to go into that. Thought it was an interesting little thing to go into. And it's very beautiful. So I pray this is edifying, exhorting, and uplifting through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, the YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, YAHAWADAH, QADASH, bestowed upon me to bring out this lesson and push forth this word. Keep pushing, keep praying, keep fasting, keep enduring, keep striving for the truth unto death. And YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI shall fight for thee, and keep abiding in the faith. Abad babal, Kwam Yashua, let's say strong, almost home. Mashanakabad, Lahashalach, Yam was a Kwanyam Shal Great Millstone, the rule well and teach well. Shalom wa Barakyam al Habachayar. I don't want to desire we're part of that number. And blessings, honor, glory, and power be unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, Thamiyad wa LaIwalamyam, always and forever. Shalom.